Oh, it stinks. Why it's difficult to see, to see what's holding you back. Hello, Will Perry. Welcome to another Keeping the Conversation Alive video. It's good to see you. How you doing? So, it stinks. What am I talking about? You probably know this already because I talk about this quite a lot. I like this analogy. So, it's how senses work. The touch, smell, olfactory senses, the six senses. So, how they work. If you touch something, your sensory receptor here, touch senses, send a signal to your brain. Your finger's just been touched, mate. That's what it says. Your finger's just been touched again, mate. Do it again repeatedly, and that just becomes normal, and it actually responds. Nothing here, Sam. Zero response. A scientist might say, rather than nothing here, mate. Nothing going on. But then if you're doing constant touch, nothing here, mate. Then over time, if you do a swirly one, look at that swirly one. Oi, mate, you just got a swirl. So senses respond to a difference. So if there's a change in temperature, you'll notice the change. But if you stay at the same temperature, then that becomes normal. Recalibrate. So normal becomes unnoticeable. Zero response. That's what I'm saying. Zero response. We acclimatise to stuff. Scots. I'm thinking of here in the UK. Anybody that's from Newcastle or Scotland. I love terrible accents. I specialise in them, don't you know? So anyone, you'll know anybody from the north, north, or in Scotland, they wear t-shirts all the time. They don't feel the cold because it's so cold up there. We're all nesh boogers down here. It's a Midland expression for nesh booger. Yeah, I think it's a Midland expression. Nesh, or is that Yorkshire? I think it's anyway. You feel the cold. You're a bit of a woofter. A softie, a southern softie. So people down in the south are southern softies because it's warm there, it's milder. Anyway, we acclimatise to stuff. We become used to it, and that becomes normal. You don't know any other. It's obvious. Yeah, it works against us because the normal stuff. If you think about being brought up in abusive, dominating, controlling, relationships, or random relationship environments where you're walking on eggshells, and that's a normal thing for you. That you don't even recognize it, and in fact that becomes familiar. It's like, oh yeah, it's a nice temperature here. Or anyway, that I could take that further with the Scots going out and wrapped up in, we're us Southerners wrapped up in a bit nippy, and the Northerners anyway, I won't do the accent, but it's all fine. Well, yeah, it's all fine, mate. Pet. Anyway, I'll stop there. So the acclimatise, and then it becomes normal, but it also becomes familiar, and that can work against us when we're used to control, domination, manipulation, walking on eggshells around people, pleasing people because we feel we have to. We're normal. Yeah, that's normal. It works against us, and I use the farmer analogy a lot because it's a bit like the touch. He can't. His sensory or olfactory senses say nothing on here, mate. Except they'd probably do it with the Cornish accent, wouldn't it? Of course, because of farmer. Okay, so bloody fresh air, innit? So the farmer smells fresh air, and the Londoner, fucking stinks around here, mate. I don't know how you can stand it. Because what the Londoner smells is the stinky farm. The farmer, he smells bloody fresh air, innit? It's a lovely morning. Yet the farmer, he goes up to London and bloody pollution, I don't know how you can breathe, blows his nose, black bogies, or dark bogies, grey bogies, and it's like, bloody get me back to the fresh air. And smells like... So I use that analogy because that's literally what happens. But the farmer can still smell a rose. Bloody handsome rose that is. And the city boy, love, he can smell the rose too. So what's going on here then? The thing is that we acclimatise. A norm becomes the norm. The smells we're around and brought up around or work around, then and it's the same for all our different senses. So our emotional senses as well, what we feel about ourselves. You know, it becomes normal to be down on yourself if you have low self-worth. It's just normal. You don't notice it anymore. And we can't see, we cannot see our subconscious self-beliefs. Our subconscious self-beliefs. Interesting. So it takes somebody that's somewhat of an expert, and I don't like to say I'm an expert, but I'm somewhat of an expert at noticing this stuff. So it's the structures and the processes, and lots of different things. It's not just me, I'm the magical inventor, but there's lots of different things over the 13 years plus that I've picked up on, and really that felt sometimes like, oh, this is going to be the thing that changes everything, and it's not. It's like, God, I really want it to. I want this to change everything, but it doesn't. And then I find something else, and this is going to change it. And it's like, then why doesn't it change it? What's going on? What is really going on? And I'm a bit not dogmatic, a bit terrier-like. I've kind of a dog and a bone. Maybe that's what I was thinking about. Tenaciously hanging on to what is underneath this stuff, because I'm suffering from it as well. And it's like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And that's what I got to with kind of the work where I've taken it now with the program and the coaching. And I find it fascinating to help people see what they can't see, and realise that they're working on this, like what I was saying yesterday with the blinkers. Open up the blinkers and it's like, holy moly, now I can see. I'm free to smell different smells, if you like, not just conditional with, you know, the smell what I couldn't smell before, and see what I couldn't see before, and notice the negative brain patterns that you're following as subconscious negativity about yourself is not real. Then you're open to choosing a different way. You know, like I said yesterday, not that, but this. If you saw that video, it's like, whoo. So to see, to see what's holding you back and what you couldn't see before. You know, that sensory thing that wasn't working is zero. You know, zero response. Nothing on here, mate. Did that go slightly Australian? Fair income. So and it is work. It is work to, you know, once you see what's holding you back, it's like, oh yeah, if you just then go, yeah, that's true. It wasn't real. It wasn't my fault. It just goes out of view again, and you've just undone the work that or the opportunity that you had. Not only have you got to see it, but then you've got to do something with it and work. And it is work. It does take work, cognitive, daily grind work, and it's difficult sometimes. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. And it's so difficult sometimes. Relatively straightforward, but it's difficult, you know? And that's why it is so tricky. That's why it is a conundrum. That's why there aren't many paths to follow on this one. It's like, you know, people go to India to discover themselves. It's like, well, why don't you do it at home? You know, it's like, isn't it? I think it's an interesting thing, but it can be fun and interesting. I find it fascinating, and it can. Well, the reason I use humour is not by chance or just because I like humour, and I'm not particularly one for comedy, but I think we all like humour to a certain level. But humour breaks the pattern, the negative subconscious pattern that's very serious about yourself. We can get very righteous about ourselves and get very serious and stern and entrenched is a good word. Entrenched, stuck in a trench, stuck in a hole, about our own thinking, and that's that blinkered thinking. It's really difficult. So having that coaching, having that accountability, having that support system is so important with this kind of work. But you need to do the work ultimately. If you're not prepared to do the work, obviously this isn't for you. But if you're wanting to do the work, if you're wanting to solve the problems, and you want the support structure for that, and you're prepared to do the work yourself, so, you know, my invitation is come and have a conversation. See what you might not be able to currently see. And that's a cool thing, because that's where change happens and endures. That means stays around for a long time. So if you're interested in that, I'd be mighty grateful if you'd come along and have a chat. We can simply have a chat. Here, a cup of tea. So I'm obviously in a strange mood. I shall leave you there, but do share this with anybody you think that might get a smile out of that, and who might see something for themselves. Many thanks. Speak to you well. Have an awesome rest of the day. Bye-bye.